when you get a cold, a stomach infection, or COVID-19, the reason is microbes. These tiny creatures are all around you, and when they get inside, they reproduce. This makes you feel physically sick since the microbes are feeding off of your healthy cells, the most basic units of life inside you, to reproduce. This creates symptoms like fevers, runny noses, and sore throats. Now, you encounter microbes every single day, but it's not like you get a cold or a sore throat every day. Why? Firstly, not all microbes are evil, but for the microbes that are, most of us are well protected from those tiny evil beings by 3 of our body's own main warriors. The warriors fight for an army called the immune system. Your immune system is what your body uses to identify microbes and kill them. Before I introduce our warriors, remember that each warrior starts out as a child, just like you. Our 3 warriors actually start out as baby cells called stem cells. These stem cells are made in a factory called bone marrow. Once the bone marrow factory makes these little stem cells, they grow up to become immune system warriors and migrate to the blood, which is their battleground. Now, enough of the suspense. Let's meet our 3 main warriors: spy T cells, backup B cells, and natural killer cells.
Hi, it's a normal cell right here.
Hi, I'm a T cell. They also call me secret spy. I detect these things right here, called antigens. This one tells me you're clearly the virus behind COVID-19. Hey, can I have some backup here? Did someone call for backup? Because I'm a B cell. Let me just release some antibodies to bind to your antigens. Now, you're pretty much powerless. He's powerless but still alive, and I'm here to fix that.
Meet the natural killer cell. Yes, that's its actual scientific name, and it lives up to that name by shooting the microbes with harmful chemicals.
These warriors fight 24/7 to keep you healthy, and they do this by basically just being cautious of foreign microbes and then targeting them. My personal favorite? The T cell. If T cells never identify the antigen and aren't there to call for backup, B cells would be pretty much useless. And NK cells are just not enough when the microbe is reproducing so quickly. Well, good thing we have all 3. Yes, most of us do. But every 1 in 100,000 babies are born without T cells. Can you imagine? This condition is called SCID, or Severe Combined ImmunoDeficiency. This means that their immune system is literally deficient of these very T cell warriors. There are different types of SCID, and in some, they're also missing B cells and NK cells. What? Why? Well, remember how stem cells become warriors? If we don't have enough warriors, it means our stem cells have some problems with growing up. They just aren't able to. It could be because of their genes from their parents or from random mutations in their DNA. It's basically a matter of luck. Genes? DNA? Let me explain. Your DNA is the entire set of instructions that make you, you. And genes, these genes, not these, are sections of DNA, instructions for specific things. So if your DNA is how to make you, a gene might be for how to make your nose or your eyes. You get half your DNA from your mother and half your DNA from your father. If they happen to give you a SCID gene, your stem cells won't be able to grow up into the warriors you need in your bloodstream, in your battleground. If people with SCID don't have T cells, their body won't know there are harmful microbes inside, and they won't be able to fight those microbes. Yes, you're exactly right. Even a common cold could be deadly if SCID is not treated, making lives incredibly difficult. Let's meet 2 children, Max and HT, with different types of SCID.
I was out of elementary school at the time, months at a time. I was probably spending more time in hospital than in school at one point.
My grandson, HT, was born with Artemis SCID, meaning he had no immune system. And I've seen him going through a lot of pain.
Wait, Max and HT look pretty healthy to me. Are you sure they're sick? Despite looking healthy, babies with untreated SCID usually die within a year or two. This is why it is so important to diagnose this at birth. To test babies for SCID, doctors prick their heels to get a small sample of blood. Now, it's difficult to measure the amount of T cells in the blood because they're too small and look like any other cell. What we do know, however, is that while stem cells mature to become T cells, they make tiny DNA circles called treks. Doctors measure those treks because the more treks there are, the greater number of stem cells have matured to become T cells. They then use a chain reaction to amplify the amount of treks. Then they do the same for another control gene that anyone with SCID should have enough of and amplify it too. That comparison shows us if they have enough T cells or are deficient, which would lead to a SCID diagnosis. So that's how the doctors knew if Max and HT had SCID. Well, are there any successful treatment options for them? The typical treatment is to add healthy stem cells into the bone marrow. Stem cells that can grow up properly to become our immune warriors. But people who receive this treatment constantly need to receive other supplementary treatments and take immunosuppressive pills their whole life. Pills that ensure that their body doesn't react to the new stem cells they received. Max is an example of this, as he received stem cells from his parents but still spends most of his time in the hospital.
Max later received a second transplant, but needed regular infusions of IgG, a type of antibody, to bolster his immune system.
My situation, was not terrible, but I felt it could be a lot better.
Instead of getting healthy stem cells from others, why not just add healthy genes to one's own stem cells? How? Well, scientists got inspired by bacteria, because bacteria are really good at getting genes. If this bacterium bursts, other bacteria will steal its genes. Sometimes bacteria give each other their genes willingly, and sometimes they get some genes from viruses. All of these mechanisms are known as gene transfer, which is simply the movement of genes, sections of DNA, between cells. That's what the newest treatment entails. But how could giving new genes to people's stem cells help cure SCID? Gene transfer could offer an excellent treatment since it allows doctors to replace SCID-causing genes with healthy genes in stem cells. We know that stem cells usually stay in the bone marrow, but doctors can give special medicines that tell some little stem cells to come out into the bloodstream, to the battleground. Because then doctors collect these stem cells from the blood, fix them, and put them back. They fix them using a vector, which carries the corrected genes. Think of this as a delivery envelope. The vector goes inside the stem cell and adds its tiny message to your whole instruction manual. It adds a healthy gene into your DNA. This fixes the stem cell and now it can be injected back into the bone marrow. However, the bone marrow is still full of defective stem cells. So first, doctors kill those via chemicals. This is called chemotherapy conditioning. Now there is space in the bone marrow for the new, corrected, and healthy stem cells that know exactly how to grow up and become functioning T cells that can now act like proper secret spies and identify foreign microbes. The best part is, this treatment has already been rising in popularity since it has shown promising results on many patients, including Max and HT.
So I'm just now doing a lot of the things that, I maybe should have been doing years ago. And I'm really just enjoying life right now. I'm living for myself, I think, right now.
They're all at home, they're all healthy, and you can go to school and you play in the dirt and not have to worry.
Gene transfer has so many benefits for the health of society. It treats the root cause of genetic diseases instead of just managing symptoms. It's a one-time treatment, and it reduces the need to chronically consume medications. In the future, this could treat a wide array of diseases. It treats certain blood cancers already.
We're pioneering gene therapy in this very rare disease right now, but we are using techniques that can be exported to other situations and can help many other conditions worldwide. That's, to me, what UCSF is all about. Doing the best research, but not stopping there and opening the doors of the lab and bring it to all community. And every new innovation happens one patient at a time.
And since this treatment is long-lasting, unlike bone marrow transplants, it could put an end to so many genetic disorders and reduce burdens on healthcare systems. But like any powerful technology, it also has risks. Sometimes when doctors use a vector, the delivery envelope, to insert a healthy gene into a cell, it could land in the wrong place in the DNA. If that happens, it could cause problems and in rare cases, even lead to certain types of cancers. Some treatments also use chemotherapy beforehand, which can make patients feel sick and tired temporarily. There are also important ethical questions. If gene editing was to be used on embryos, babies in the womb, the changes could be permanent and be passed down to future generations. This has raised concerns about the idea of creating designer babies. Scientists are working hard to make gene transfer safer. Newer vectors are designed to place genes more carefully, and treatments have to go through strict testing before being approved for use on patients. Many countries are also having strong rules to make sure gene transfer is used to treat diseases and not to change traits. Gene transfer is a powerful and revolutionary milestone for science and healthcare. As we've already witnessed, when used responsibly and carefully, gene transfer has the potential to save lives.